Not likely. I'm still waiting for ELEX 2. Let me Google something. ELEX 2. One month ago. Everything we know. There is in develop ELEX 2. Shut the front door. For those who haven't seen ELEX 1, it's on YouTube. And
Hello there, my RPG lovers.
probably I'm gonna say the most amazing game I ever played in my life. That's ELEX. It's goddamn gorgeous. It's goddamn amazing.
Welcome to another video. It's been quite long since we talked about the ELEX, mainly because I was waiting for at least some new information about the sequel. Even though we still don't have any detailed info
You guys
about
remember
ELEX
it?
2, we know for sure that it's being developed as we speak. I won't spoil the ending of the first game, but there is a giant cliffhanger at the end of the main quest. It's more than enough to assume that the next game from Piranha Bytes will definitely be ELEX 2.
The end of ELEX 1 was like some aliens will be coming into Earth, and they left it over there, kinda like they gave a big clue that hey, the story is gonna continue, and it's been a couple of years. I saw you playing at wrong time, cause I would say it's boring as feck. Every time I saw you play it, you would talk into NPC. Yeah, it's a story driven. Hello, Hayden. It's a deep story driven, surrounded by NPCs. It's a story. Like talking to NPCs and following the story was very critical. Although a lot of times we explored it, they had like the vibes of the Fallout 3 and Fallout Vegas, where you go around, you talk, and you kill. Like that was the whole idea. An amazing story. I loved it. The very clunky movements and weapon and all of that, but the progression and the story was brilliant. But when I saw some videos, I was curious. I wanted to give it a shot. It's an amazing game. Without any doubt, it is one of the most amazing games. Like, if you haven't played ELEX, which probably goes like for $10 maximum, go play it. It's amazing and you're not gonna regret it. As long as you enjoy a good story. And choices that you make actually matter. I loved it, and actually is one of the few games that I do remember what I've done. Right? You remember me. Thank you, Dawok One. Appreciate the follow. Welcome to the stream. They said that the controls content sucks, so I didn't. The controls are very clunky. They are terrible, but you can always overpass that, go around it, and work with the controls that they have, and enjoy what is in front of you. If you're gonna focus too much on the combat, and you're gonna say, okay, everything that I'm gonna do is about combat, then you're not gonna like it. It's clunky. It didn't matter for me what I was watching and the story that I was following. It was so good that I didn't care about the clunkiness of the combat, to be honest. It wasn't about the combat. It was about the story that it was telling. And it was great. Beautiful, man. By far. Like, it was the best game for me. I don't know why. It was the delivery. It was the fact that my choices actually mattered. There are rumors on Witcher 4 could be a game without Geralt. Another chapter, sort of, with different characters, but the same world. It's gonna flop down to the ground immediately, Pudding. That's my guess on that one. Witcher is Geralt, like Geralt. Whatever you say, it's about Geralt. He's the motherfucking ponytail, white hair, wolf motherfucker. For me, so far, I've never played StarCraft, so yeah, I don't know. Would be Ori and the Blind Forest. Okay. I've never played them, so I can't put my value or my words. Let me see. Let me just let me just hear what the ELEX 2 is working on. I'm just curious. I wanna know.
Before we continue, consider subscribing for more RPG content because that's what I'm all about.
Okay, I've made 1,150 videos around there, and I've never asked anyone to subscribe. If I wanna subscribe, I will. Trust me, I will. Okay, I will.
Shortly after the release of ELEX, we heard that Piranha Bytes will be supported with 150,000 euros from European Union. Thus, it's safe to assume that Piranha Bytes will develop a sequel. Fast forward to some fresh news, Piranha Bytes recently got bought by THQ Nordic. In my opinion, this can only be a positive thing, since THQ Nordic has been making some epic moves. No, not epic as you thought, probably none of that bullshit, don't worry. I recently talked about the future of Kingdoms of Amalur because that IP has been bought by THQ Nordic as well, and it's more than likely that we'll see something related to that IP soon. THQ Nordic is well known for making ports for current gen consoles, and they even released 2 new expansions for a 12-year-old game, Titan Quest. A beloved
Motherfuckers, alright, listen up, because I'm gonna probably upload this on YouTube. If you don't subscribe and if you don't like and leave the best comment in the description, down the comments, I will fuck your ass. Oh yeah, I forgot that I'm not monetized on YouTube, so I can say fuck 1,000 times.
Diablo-like RPG, so I hope that this only means more support for Piranha Bytes' future games. Also, ELEX sold really well, so there is no doubt that we'll see a new game from this studio in the near future. But what can we expect to see in the sequel? I'm pretty sure that will be on the same map again, but they will probably expand it and revamp all the locations in a way that fits the narrative. Since we had multiple ways of playing as Jax that would later on affect the ending of the game and the world in general, I would assume that we'll be able to transfer our saves from ELEX 1 to ELEX 2. Maybe through one interactive cutscene similar to how Witcher 3 did it. I know that Piranha Bytes never did something similar to this, but there was actually never a need to do so in previous titles. In ELEX, on the other hand, this makes perfect sense, and I would like to see this system in action. I sincerely doubt that we'll play as a different character, but if we do for some reason, all that Jax did in the first game will still leave a big mark on the world. It would not make sense otherwise. Speculating about the story in general is really hard, but there is some predictable stuff like factions. All 4 factions from ELEX will probably appear in the sequel as well, but they will certainly have...
We like the factions in ELEX 1 was like the top. Choosing your faction will change the story of your story of the game. Choosing whether you want to support this group or that group, it really depends. It's a type of a game that is going to create emotions towards another character. When you see another character, let's say the leader of a gang, of a faction, you have the ability, if you want to go and kill him. Just straight murder him in front of everyone. If you are that OP and you can survive his attacks back. Like, you can do that. And the next time that you will go to the city is gonna be another leader that you were doing like side quests with him, and he was like, I wanna take over the throne. Like, that's the type of a game. That whatever you do, if you decide to kill an NPC, if you decide to kill anyone in the game changes, and it's weird. You see, like the leader of a faction, and he's like a dick, and you don't like what he's saying and the things that he's treating you or the other people around. You can literally just murder him. You are like, okay, motherfucker, I don't like you, I don't like your face, I will come at night and fucking murder you. In the middle of the quest line that you're doing. That is the best thing that I ever seen. And then the next time that you go back to the town, you see his son becoming, or you see some weird person that you were doing like side quests with him, that you had the idea he maybe wanted to take the throne, right? And you go kill him. It's like, he is the leader, and he opens up a different story. It's that type of a game. That's why I liked it, because I haven't seen it in another game. It was like, oh, you die, respawn, or that's the type of a game. I bet you would like Cyberpunk then, with how the whole game changes based on your decisions. Yeah, but do you have the freedom to kill anyone you want? And that will change my story at a random time. So do I need to go through a dialogue? And based on my decisions and so on, which is even that is cool. Like me choosing based on emotions and logic, of course, as a person. It does matter. I want it to matter. It's something that I think we've seen it pretty well on the zombie game. Walking Dead series. Your choices really did matter. If you wanted to save the son of Cain or you didn't, that's my cup of tea, I will say, when it comes to storytelling. I love it. I'm just curious. I loved the game. I loved the story. It's a weird game. I don't know. It's like probably my first game that I actually am hyped about. Even a year after, I still think about it. I think all of the playthroughs on YouTube. I'm not sure. I think it is.
Have different agendas. I don't see outlaws and berserkers changing much, but clerics and especially the alps will change drastically. I'm diving deep in speculations here, but let's return to the topic of how can the sequel improve
I was a
as
cleric.
a game in general.
I chose to be a
far
cleric.
from beginner friendly, and I think this is one of the reasons why they never managed to reach wider audience. But this is deeply connected with the core design of their games and the character progression in particular. Feeling weak and almost useless at the beginning of the game is something that you come to expect from PB games.
He tried to kill kinda like an important NPC over there, and he just got one-shot it.
The sense of danger while you're exploring the world is always strong, and everything will kindly remind you that you need to get stronger. The biggest complaint is always the combat system, so let's focus on that.
Yeah, the combat.
In ELEX seems like the modern version of Gothic 2 combat. I mean, all the Piranha Bytes games have similar combat, but the one in ELEX really reminds me of Gothic 2 for a few reasons. I've made multiple guides for the combat when ELEX came out, showing some people that it's not that bad as they thought. I don't blame anyone for thinking it's bad, because it definitely can be clunky.
I'm gonna say this, before he continues in the video, I've played the entire game start to finish. It is clunky, but it didn't bother me. I found my way around the combat, and it didn't bother me. It didn't at all. I got used to it. You wanna name it? I was okay.
Buggy and unresponsive. The auto lock-on in combat is on by default, which is a terrible decision by Piranha.
Always shut that shit off, okay? Never lock. That's how I played the game. I didn't lock target at all.
Bytes, since it makes the combat way worse. I really don't know who thought this was a good idea. Third combo attack with the two-handed axes are bugged. The game didn't register that hit at all. The special attack sometimes doesn't register, even though you're clearly in the range of the opponent. That being said, the combat system in its core is far from bad. It had the right idea, and you have everything at your disposal to overcome any NPC in the game without even taking a hit if you're willing to learn how to dodge and evade hits. Yeah. You can't spam attacks, you have to combo your hits right at the end of the previous attack for the best result. When it actually works and when you manage to get used to it, it can feel really good and rewarding. There were some NPCs that looked really cool but had terrible hitboxes. The hitboxes in general can be ridiculous, especially when you're fighting someone with a two-hander. They definitely need to fix how stamina works for NPCs. Only sometimes it will work as intended, but for the most part it just didn't work properly. Stasis elemental effect was...
Alright, let's be honest, he's playing on a console, okay? That's what it looks like.
useless for this reason. Well, for your character at least.
I
but
don't know
you
if
get
it's a
hit by
console game.
stasis, you're in a big trouble because it stops stamina regeneration. If they could fix all of that and make the controls smoother, I bet the sequel would draw more people. Players want to feel that the game is fair, even if it's hard. That way they know it's their fault when they die. However, it's really easy to feel like it's not your fault when you die in ELEX because all of those problems, and most people will just quit the game. Sometimes I really think that Piranha Bytes just don't care how good their games will sell out of Europe, since they know they have a loyal fan base that know what to expect from their games. And they always manage to sell enough copies to be able to make another game. But before we criticize, we have to remember that Piranha Bytes only has around 30 people in their team, and they still manage to animate all the weapon types in the game, unlike some games. One-handed swords, axes and maces have different animations, as well as two-handed weapons. Unfortunately, the spells all have one shitty animation, which is really strange because
For a small studio, they've done well. They didn't do bad. Let me go back to the Cyberpunk just so I can put my thought on that. Cyberpunk is probably a game that I will play, but I'm not gonna fucking buy it. Just so we can be clear, all right? It's $60. Give it to me, all right? I will find a code like somewhere. I don't know. Somehow.
Because in Risen 3 they had amazing animations for spells. But ELEX is considerably bigger than Risen games. I guess they didn't manage to polish all the details. Actually, polish is the exact thing that ELEX needed. They actually managed to make other major aspects of the game really good, but this sci-fi medieval fantasy genre is really unique, so there is still room for improvement here, of course. At first I was a bit skeptical about this, since no one tried something similar, but it turned out to be quite good. Fighting a robot with a sword while evading lasers.
Yeah, it was
totally
fucked
satisfying.
up, but it worked.
Of course, you can choose to shoot lasers as well, throw bombs, use magic, or maybe a bow. 3 ways of finishing the game with 3 different factions is going to be a thing in the sequel. I'm willing to bet on that. The freedom they give to the player before he joins any faction is also really important. Being able to do quests all around the world without joining anyone feels great, and this needs to be in the sequel as well.
Oh
But
yeah.
in order to improve this, the main thing they will need to do is to add more abilities that you can learn without the need to join a faction.
Yeah, so you could 100% go. That's the skills, right? You could not join anyone and be independent, and you will get, for example, 100 skills, 50 skills, 20 skills, whatever is the number. But if you join a faction, you unlock a specific type of weapons. And what he's saying over here, or weapons or skills, what he's saying over here give us the ability to have more independent out-of-faction abilities. And if I choose to, I do want to join a faction just to unlock the new ones and involve myself into the story of that faction. That's pretty much what he's saying. More abilities out of factions.
In ELEX, all stronger spells were tied to factions, and this would encourage you to join one as soon as possible. This is not bad.
I didn't though. I, as a person, when I was playing I didn't. Until it made sense that it was like by choice. I was like, I wanna join now. Yeah, I like you guys. I can trust you. I wanna join you.
Bad per se, but I would be really happy if they add more spells and abilities that are not faction locked. One more thing that I really wish they change is the ranged weapon mechanics, specifically the bow mechanics. In my first playthrough, I was a berserker and my main weapon was the bow. You can't hold the trigger or mouse click to pull down the arrow, you just place your cursor on the enemy and shoot. While this was probably done to make life easier for the console players, I think this ruined the archer playstyle a lot. For the sequel, I expect them to bring something similar to Gothic's 3 archer mechanics, because it's much more satisfying when you can actually free aim your bow. I think that many people will agree. One more reason why they changed this is probably because the gameplay in ELEX is much faster, so they maybe thought the player would be in disadvantage. And that would pretty much conclude all the things that are on top of my mind right now. I'm pretty sure there is much more stuff to talk about.
Alright, we will see what direction they're gonna take ELEX 2 and when it's gonna announce even more things. That concludes my whole idea about the ELEX 2. I'm excited and I wanna see it happening. Sounds amazing.